So see what we got here.
Holy cow, dude! Okay. I need to lower my expectation here. I don't expect anything crazy, but if you're not familiar with Roger Troutman, he's the voice box, the talk box guy. You know,
Oh,
California knows how to party, and obviously
California, yeah,
many
right,
others, right?
right.
But probably more famously that song, at least for our
All right,
generation.
here we go.
Movie guys, hit play, let it run. Eric Jordan, 2 takes, one fun, new flick, old flick, same mic, same vibe. If it's on that screen, they gon' go deep dive. Movie guys, say the word, we ride. From the big release to the late night guy, you cue it up, they keep the love, keep it. Movie guys, movie guys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of Movie Guys Podcast. And tonight we're talking about Send Help. And I've been really thinking about this movie for the past 24 hours. Eric, how the hell are you doing?
I think as I was doing more research about this movie is directed by Sam Raimi. And not often is he been directing as much as he has been producing, but in my research I found that they are doing not one but two more Evil Dead movies. I am more excited for that than I am for this movie.
That's obvious. You and me both. You and I gave Evil Dead Rise both a large bag a few years ago, right? It was nominated for Film of the Year. Didn't win. But, this movie was written for Rachel McAdams because of her and a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That's why this movie exists.
Sure. It is funny how Sam Raimi or some directors really pick their actors. And yeah, I guess he liked working with Rachel McAdams in that movie and said, hey, you deserve your own movie.
Yeah. I read an IMDb trivia that he thought that she was a good actress and he wanted her to show her range. I mean, I've never disagreed with that statement. I've always think she was good. And majority of the times she's in bad movies, but she's always good in those bad movies. So she kind of needed a part to become her own. This could be her Kathy Bates movie. I mean, you and I don't know how we feel about it, but this movie is in the 90s and Rotten Tomatoes. This movie is great. Everybody loves this movie.
I think it is a different type of movie. I kind of got, I don't want to say completely Drag Me to Hell vibes off of this, but it's very Sam Raimi.
Right. Well, the parts that need to be Sam Raimi. Other than that, the movie's very boring. My opinion on that one. It's
Yeah. In those movies, whether it be like Evil Dead 2 or like Drag Me to Hell, there are more comedic points in that movie, more dark comedy. This maybe has a handful of parts that are kind of funny, very Sam Raimi, but for the most part, it's more of just a survival horror thriller as it's labeled.
which I do not agree with that label at all. That this is horror. Even at the end when things get crazy, I don't see this as a horror movie, or maybe I don't know what the definition of horror is.
I'm not too sure. I think it takes some liberties nowadays, but the writers of this movie are Damian Shannon and Mark Swift, a writing duo that have worked together for a bit now. They've done the 2017 vehicle Baywatch, and what else did they do? Friday the 13th, the 2009 one, and Freddy vs. Jason.
Right. Which is funny because I know that these guys wrote this, and for them to go from Freddy vs. Jason to Friday the 13th remake to Baywatch is just like, what are you guys? You guys are horror guys. What are you doing? Look,
Hey, sometimes you gotta switch it up. Sometimes you
this is not a horror
want
movie.
to listen to pop. Sometimes you want to listen to metal.
I understand, but I don't know if we're gonna fight on this. But no, this movie's not a horror film at all. I do not agree with that category at all, whatsoever. There's not a scene in this movie that makes this horror. Survival, sure. Castaway on steroids, sure. A remake of Misery, sure, but not horror. I also would not classify Misery as horror. I don't know if you would. but no, it's not horror.
I would categorize it, and maybe that's the reason why this movie is put into that, is as a psychological movie.
Right.
Like it just kind of messes with your mind and the situation that you're in. And I guess you can kind of put that as a horror, but no, the horror movies that we would put into that category are very different from this one.
Absolutely. So watch this movie.
Drag Me to Hell. Would you put Drag Me to Hell is a bit more of a horror movie?
Yes.
Yeah, but then again, you have a supernatural aspect in that. So
Right, but it's very horror, right? I'm thinking the scene of her laying in bed and then the witch woman, on top of her. Yeah. Watching this with my wife, she wanted to see this because it was Rachel McAdams, and she goes, "What is it about?" And I said, "From the trailers, it's Rachel McAdams and a hot guy stranded on an island." And she was like, "Oh." I think she was thinking a Blue Lagoon remake, maybe.
okay,
But I said this directed by Sam Raimi. She was like, "Who's that again?" And I told her. After the movie was over with, I said, "What are you going to get this? What's your rating?" And my wife said, "Nobody's likable in this movie." And I did not agree with her. I went on a rant about how I disagreed with her. But as I thought about it, because we watched it last night before this recording, so I thought about it throughout the day, and yeah, she's right. Like, I don't think anybody in this movie is actually likable. Like, I'm not really rooting
Not in
for.
the least.
No, I'm not rooting for him. I'm not rooting for her. Nobody's likable, which I guess that's what they're going for. I'm trying to understand who's the bad guy in this movie.
yeah. There were parts more in the beginning where I wanted to side with Rachel McAdams' character, in thinking that, like, man, the guy that she's with. So Rachel McAdams plays Linda, and her counterpart is a guy named Bradley, played by Dylan O'Brien from the Maze Runner franchise. If you remember that.
No, I do. I just never seen them, but yes.
Oh, they weren't too bad. Anyway, the two are stuck on an island and they just don't like each other. And Bradley, the character, is very unlikable. He is a frat boy CEO douchebag, entitled, and just bosses people around. Linda is, I believe you described her as mousy, kind of like this quiet person with no confidence, lives her quiet life, and it just kind of is what it is. They are on a plane and they crash land into this island. And I don't want to say that I was rooting for her as much as I was rooting against him, because he's just a dick, man, the entire time.
Besides one scene, right, where he was a human being when he was explaining his past a little bit. But other than that, yeah, he was a total jerk. Yeah, so Rachel McAdams is this, again, my words, mousy account, not executive, but she works for this corporation and she works in accounting. And this old guy who...
Whoa.
No,
Jordan, corporate strategist.
okay.
The joke in the movie was because Bradley said that, and she was like, you said that I'm a corporate strategist. It's like, oh, are you?
All right. Well, so Bradley's dad started this company, and the dad has promised that Rachel McAdams was going to get this job. Dad steps down. She was going to be an executive. Dad steps down. Bradley becomes CEO, that's son, and immediately he goes for the hot girl and not Rachel McAdams. Again, I'm not going into this expecting an Oscar here, right? This is a pretty standard thing. I do like, and I don't want to sound cliche, but I do like when actresses go there with this. She had no makeup on in the beginning of this movie. She looked ragged. She looked like she's seen a few things.
She looked plain.
Yeah, she looked like a plain Jane, and I kept on saying it to my wife when I was watching the movie. I was like, oh my God, like, because the pressures of Hollywood, with actresses and have to look good, blah, blah, the cliche. And I like that she decided to go there, right? Because Rachel McAdams has always been a beautiful woman on screen, so it's nice to see her do something different.
She pulled a Kate Winslet.
I want to talk to you more about why I think that she's better because of her beauty. Don't get off the show. But never mind. That was a joke.
Okay.
That was a bad joke, but it was a joke. Anyway, so Bradley comes in. He's now the CEO. And he immediately hires his frat boy friend to take her job that she feels was rightfully hers as this executive.
Yeah.
She has a pet bird, lives at home, don't know anything about her past, to the point to where she gets the guts to confront him. Good for her, right? And she's just like, hey, dude, that job was mine. Just because I'm not your frat bro doesn't mean I can't get this job, bud. And he's just like, all right, listen. We're going to close a deal in Bangkok, I think he said.
Yep.
Once you come on the plane, if you close the deal, I'll get you the job. And she's like, let's go. So they get on this plane, and Bradley and his D-bag friends find out that Rachel McAdams is a big Survivor show fan, and she made the corniest, worst Survivor video audition tape ever. I loved it. She was on the She was on the playground and stuff. She was like, "I'm a survivor." According to IMDb, they took it out because of bad pre-screening stuff, but the credits was going to be that whole entire video of the movie. Was the video was just her doing the Survivor thing, right? The funny thing is that we all know people like this, right? So that makes her relatable.
I mean, they have their hobbies, of course.
This makes her relatable, right? There has to be somebody in our listeners' lives or our lives where they know somebody like I'm gonna make it to American Idol. Like this is gonna happen.
Yeah,
and it's like no, it's not.
I mean, no, I give credit to those people, man. There's a want, they a desire, they made a tape. And, yeah, it might seem silly to some, but, yeah, it might seem silly to me when I was in college and, anything that anyone does is dumb and stupid, but that's who I was, dumb and stupid.
Yeah, I regret it.
These guys are entitled. Yeah, these guys are entitled, though, and they feel, obviously, that they are better than everyone else, and so they see this video and they start laughing and making fun of it because they think she's a loser, and it's nothing to laugh at. I think it's just whatever. It makes her vulnerable, right? It's a thing that she enjoys, that she is very passionate about, that they are poking fun of,
right,
and belittling.
So post-recording here. From the time the episode released, my family and I are going to go to Disney. And we're going to be flying to Disney. And I haven't been on a plane since 2009. So there's a little bit of a fear, but not much. And the plane starts to go down, and my wife looks at me and goes, "Are you sure we should be watching this right now, bud?" And I'm like, "It's a movie. It's fine." Let me guess. A seagull got caught in the engine, right? That's what happened. They don't explain it. The plane is going down. And there's a lot of great kills in this, right? We get just a random dude being sucked out the plane, and then we get the douchebag frat guy who's trying to steal her seat, Rachel McAdams' seat, right? She won't give it up, and then he gets a great kill where he gets sucked out and his tie gets caught at the end of the plane of the hole. Like, that was cool. Great little.
That's a very Sam Raimi kill there, because he gets pulled out. And then his face is hitting the outside of the window.
And he's still alive.
Next to her seat. Yeah.
Yeah. Which the first guy...
Want to help me?
The first guy that got sucked out, I don't think he's dead. Movie Guys Rule podcast rule number 1, no body, no death. The first guy got sucked out. They're over the ocean.
You're taking that rule as gospel, man. Like...
have we been proven wrong? I mean, have we been proven wrong?
Well, he's not going to be in the sequel.
No. I'm just saying, because I don't know where they were, right? So when they start to go down and we see the hole and we see the ocean, I was like, oh, okay, that guy had a chance at least. I mean, at least he's not 30,000 feet in the air and he got farmland, believe him. You know, he got the water, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll assume that he washed up on another island and he's alive and well, and he's made friends with the natives there, and he's living his best life. So we'll assume that.
Not Castaway, but when this plane crash happened in the water, you know what movie brought me back to when this was happening?
No, what movie's that?
U.S. Marshals or Fugitive 2.
Oh, okay.
Now, they brought me back to that because I saw that recently on TNT like a year ago, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen this in years. And anyway, so everybody's dead. She washes up on shore, and she immediately starts going to town. Finds him, Bradley, who my wife says he kind of like milked it. There was a gash in his leg, but not that bad. It looked bad, but not terrible, right? And he was milking it for like a week. Oh, I can't move. And she was just killing it. She was building shelters. She was killing boars. From the plane crash until the boar killing, I'm checked out of this movie. I'm bored. I've seen this movie. I've seen Castaway. But when she goes after the boar for food and the boar keeps on coming even after she stabs it in the head, and blood squirting all over her, I'm having a good time. This is funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It was a fun kill.
And the reason why I find it funny is not because it's just Sam Raimi's, because it's Rachel McAdams. You know, like this is Allie from The Notebook. You know what I mean? Like, and she's just getting pig blood squirted all over her. It is great. This is really funny stuff.
Yeah, it's a different role, and it's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's also something where why you say that you're bored is because it's just kind of building to, we don't know what. It's slow, but there's not really a whole big turn as much as you think that there would be. He's still a dick the entire time, and he starts making these kind of executive decisions where he's just like, why aren't you, putting in like a send help thing in the sand? Why aren't you making a bigger fire? Why aren't you like letting people know that we're here kind of thing? And she's just like, I'm focused on surviving here, dude. Like I need water. We're going to be here for a bit, man. We could very, very well be here for a bit. So I'm going to make shelter. I'm going to start a fire. I'm going to try to get some food and some, water going here. I'm going to try to fix you up and do all this stuff. Like, it's, she's not wrong, but he is doing all this stuff kind of like, I guess what anyone else would do. Just like, oh yeah, well, first thing is obviously you send help in the sand and make a big fire, or like, well, we should be making a raft. And she's like, that's not really a smart idea. He's like, well, I saw it online. There was a guy, and yeah, of course, saw it online, saw it in a movie.
Which is actually kind of what I applaud, right? When he said, we should build a raft. Kind of remind me.
Happened in Castaway.
That's what I was going to bring up, right? So we just got off of Scream 7, and we talked about that whole history. And like, what was fun about Scream 1 was they knew they were in a horror movie, right? So you knew the cliches, right? It kind of reminds me of this in a way, when he was like, hey, we should build a raft. And it's like, the audience has seen this movie before, right? And she's like, no, it's not a good idea. She didn't go into details why, but she's like, no, not a good idea, which was great, right? Been there, done there. Where's this movie going? Like, what is going to happen? Kills the boar, they get food, blah, blah. They start to bond a little bit. And then eventually she goes off to hunt for more food, and she finds a boat. And clearly they crash landed on a good spot, right? But then she sees the boat, and she just says to herself, not yet. And she doesn't signal for help. I took it, I don't know how you take it. The movie does not really explain it, but I took it as she was trying to change him to be a better person at this point, maybe. And I haven't broke him yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. He's not broken yet.
Yeah, like he has a lesson to learn. He hasn't learned his lesson yet. He's still this D-bag, and he needs to learn how to behave.
Okay, good. So you took it the same way I did then.
Absolutely, I did. But there are cracks in the story. Like, that we kind of see from his perspective a little bit, because he's just chilling on the beach for a bit. Like, we got enough of her perspective, and now we're kind of getting a back and forth of, like, stuff that she's going through on the island and then stuff that he's going through on the island. And what I mean by that is that there are times when he's just in frustration, doesn't like what's going on, and tries to do his own thing, and she's not anywhere near, and then suddenly she comes back and she's got new stuff.
Yeah.
Like, whether it be a new thing that she fashioned out of the reeds or the leaves and stuff like that of the island, or that knife that she got, and it's like, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, it just washed up. It's like, well, that's convenient. And especially for a knife like that, I would think that it would sink. Metal tends to sink, not float. But yeah, but whatever. And there are times when he just never seems to let up. He seems relentless and just being like, I don't care. I hate you. I'm better than you. And as soon as we're out of here, you're fired. And I am just going to live my life, my cushy life. And you're just going to go back to being a loser. And she's just like, dude, I'm trying to save you. Like, I'm keeping you alive here. Like, are you serious? And he just seems very ungrateful. It was the parts when he starts kind of getting better, and not that he's kind of showing a little bit of heart, but when she goes on the hike, and clearly she knows her way around this island now. But when she says, see those rocks that look like an X, don't go there. As soon as she said that, I was like, she's got a secret.
Yeah, she has a secret, because she says, don't go past the rocks. It's a bunch of, thorns and poison flowers, or just bad stuff.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
But is it a good thing, though, that this guy is a jerk? Because, you don't want to have a Blue Lagoon remake, right? Like, you don't want this to be, two people that are complete opposites and end up falling in love with each other, right? I mean, you don't want that in this movie. You want something nuts to happen, because you've already been there.
Well, there's your character thing between the two is that he's concerned with getting off the island. He's like, no, we got to get off and get rescued. And she's thriving. She's like, no, we don't need to get off. Like, I'm kind of enjoying it here. Like, she got to be on Survivor without being on Survivor.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and she's in her happy place, and she's obviously, it was kind of a struggle at the first, but then she's like, oh, okay, I got this working. Oh, okay, I caught a fish. Oh, okay, I'm starting a fire. Oh, okay, I built a house, or a fort hut thing. Say, this is actually working for me, and it's she's happy for a first time in a long time, it seems. But he's just miserable, and he's like, I just want to get out of here. And he feels frustrated because he looks at her and we should be working to get out off this island. And she says, no, well, why? Dude, we're, Although I will say that I do know that statistically, if in that situation, you are more likely to be rescued if you were to stay on the island than you are to building a raft and trying to leave. Yeah, at least in this day and age. Well, I know that a lot of times in back then too, it would make sense for a lot of other people. If you didn't have a means of getting out, or a boat, an actual boat to leave and try to, I guess, challenge the water, it's better to just stay where you are at and try to survive, but because it's easier than trying to survive in the ocean.
I would agree. I would totally agree. That Castaway did not have it right. One of the parts of the movie that I found really funny is that he wants to make her dinner. He's being very sweet, not romantic, but just very sweet. He's like, I want to make you dinner for all the nice things you've done for me, right? They had a moment where there was a big storm earlier, and they ran inside a cave, and he said, "Oh, body heat," and they had a nice snuggle, and
Yeah.
I did not want them to sleep together because I was just like, oh, please don't do that. Don't do this kind of movie. Like, I don't want that. This movie's something. There's something to this movie than that, so don't do that. And they didn't, thank God. But then he wants to make her dinner, and she takes a bite out of something that he made, and eventually just starts foaming at the mouth, passes out. And what got me to just laugh out loud was that he runs away as soon as she falls to the ground, conscious, but she's like foaming at the mouth. And he's just running away, and he's just screaming nonsense with the raft. He's like, F you, Lydia. And he gets on the raft, and just bad, right? And she ends up saving him, and you get, of course, the some Raimi gross out moments. She's trying to save his life, but he also poisoned her, so she's vomiting on his face. Classic.
Yeah.
To where, was it that I'm sorry, did I skip a scene to where, okay, so this happened before this. He apologized for being a jerk, and she had food. She even made chopsticks, and she was like, yeah, you can eat my food. And then she's like, hey, you ever heard of in prison toilet wine? And then he got drunk. That was before this, right? Before the poisoning scenes. Am I right on that? I think I'm right.
Hold on a sec.
I think so. Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah. All this was before it, because he already had his frustrating moment where he's like, I'm gonna go live on my side of the island.
That's
kind of
right.
a thing. And he realized he can't do anything, and so he comes back. He's like, all right, hey,
I'm sorry.
You got a pretty cool thing here. And so yeah, she starts to teach him a lot of stuff, like how to build a hut and how to survive a little bit. Yeah. And then they get drunk off of the wine that she has, and then he wants to do the payback. Yeah.
Right. So this is the only part of the movie where I was on his side, kind of, right? Where he was, a rich kid trauma, right? But it was still trauma, right? He was like, hey, my dad was never around, it was just my mom and I. He really dumped his bucket out to her. But her story was really interesting, to where she was like, I was married before, and he was a drunk and verbally and physically abusive. And then one night he goes off crazier than usual. Dark Knight reference. And she's just like, I gave him his keys, and I gave him his last drink. And I think more than the knife and more than the don't go past the rocks that look like an axe, I think right there that tells us she killed him. She killed her ex-husband. That's how it plays to me. Maybe she's like Jigsaw, right? Where she doesn't actually kill somebody, but she pretty much did. That's the way I took this.
Yeah. Whether she is or not, it sounds like she's kind of admitting guilt, responsibility / yeah.
So then he poisons her, right? And then she saves his life from drowning, to where she cooks him octopus the next day, and she's just like, look, I know you're sorry, here you go. He eats the octopus. He's like, oh, it's so good. And then he's paralyzed, right? He can't feel anything. This is the scene that's all over TikTok right now. This scene.
Okay.
Right, where she's just like, she takes his pants off, and she takes the knife, and she's just like, hey, bud, look, the reason why you're such a bad boy is because you're not fixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix you, bud. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is it. I got really excited, Eric, because I was like, okay, this is where the movie's gonna turn. She's actually gonna castrate this guy. Like, why not?
Yeah, there you go. Not since Hard Candy.
Right.
Did you want to see a castration scene?
Good job on that one, bud. wow, talking about early 2000s. But I'm just like, oh my God, she's gonna do it.
Love me a Patrick Wilson movie, baby.
She doesn't do it. Blood spurts on him. He's doing the oil can, kind of thing, right? And it turns out that it was a rat, and she has this really scary moment where she whispers in his ear, like, don't take my kindness for weakness. You screw with me again, and this is gonna be for real. So at this point too, I know that she's crazy. Like something's going on.
Absolutely.
To where, okay, so then how does the fight happen? So she fakes the castration.
Because
I know.
After this, she goes into the woods to do her usual harvesting, and then another boat comes, and who is it but Brad's fiance Zuri, who has never lost hope, continued the search, and she's on this little motorboat with some Thai captain, and they're going around, and she goes, "Hi, Linda, hey," and waves her down, gets off the boat, gives her a big hug, and she's like, "Okay, hey," and is Bradley still here? Yeah, and you can tell Linda's just kind of like, "Oh God, I don't want to be these people here." She takes them through a mountain pass, and
she slips.
Zuri slips, and she's hanging off the cliff, and the captain is trying to save Zuri, and they're screaming, "Linda, help us, help us."
And she doesn't let it happen.
And we don't find out until later, but she takes a rock, and she basically she kills them both.
Yeah, she kills them both. She hits the captain in the head with the rock, and then the fiancé falls to her death. Great Sam Raimi scenes, right? To where we see Rachel McAdams have some sort of human in her because she is traumatized by what she's done. She feels sad by what she's done because she has nightmares, right? Of the fiancé.
Yeah,
like
it's not her.
Yeah, kind of like crawling, kind of like from the Ring, like the Ring girl, kind of crawling out of the water, saying, "Why did you kill me?" Like that whole thing.
Right,
which was great, right? And then you have the jump scare of the makeup behind her. What I call convenient, the most convenient, more convenient than the knife, is that the fiancé is Bradley's walking the beach or something, and he sees the fiancé's hand sticking out of the water like that, and it's just like, is that just her hand? Is the body underneath the sand? Like, it showed us that
shallow grave.
Yeah, and like he sees the ring, and he's just like, oh my God, Rachel McAdams is a killer. Oh my God, and these two have the greatest fight. I may just do a Movie Guys podcast awards category for greatest fight. This would win. This was like cripple fight.
It was a gritty fight.
Oh, this was great. And I don't know if the people who are listening have seen the movie, right? But like you've seen it, so it's like they were fighting, and they eventually go into this completely shaded tree wooden area, like in the middle, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like that shot where there's like just surrounded, like these trees are. I was saying to my wife, and I was watching, I was like, why did they build shelter there? That seems like the place to be in shelter, right?
She said that after the storm.
But they didn't build shelter in that fighting pit, if you will. And I'm just like, that's where you would want to build shelter.
Yeah, but that's where Linda had said earlier. Remember when the storm wiped them out? They went to the cave.
Yeah.
Is that after she said, "Oh well, that's my fault. I probably should have built it closer inland and not on the beach."
Yeah. Okay. So they get into this great gritty fight, right? She tries to strangle him with wire or tree. I don't know what she was doing. And then what made me
vine or something.
Yeah. And what made me go, ugh, was he pins her down and he puts his thumb inside of her eye, and it's CG, but you can see her eye kind of like almost gouge out a little bit.
Yeah. Oh God, I winced.
And I was like, oh, that's great, And then we have this crazy like Rachel McAdams moment when she stands up and she just looks like, she puts She doesn't literally, but she like puts like the stuff in her eyes. It's like the hunt is on kind of thing, you know. Like
Yeah.
she's just crazy. Speaking of crazy, the movie goes where I didn't think it was gonna go. I never thought of it. So like I'm on the same page with you. Like there's something beyond the rocks that look like X's, but I did not suspect this. It's a mansion. There is a mansion on the other side of the island. Beautiful, gorgeous mansion. She discovered it. And this is where she gets all of her stuff, essentially. That's the way I took it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And she just doesn't tell him. And he eventually finds this place. He realizes, oh, my God, you know, she's killed my fiancé. She's known about this place the entire time. Everything that I said, because I'm a bad guy, this is true. And they get a great fight. I mean, like, Rachel McAdams is creepy, right? She's over, like, the intercom. She's just like, I'm going to explain to you why I did what I did. You know, kind of thing. And it's great fun stuff, right? And then she eventually finds him in a library or something. He's like, I love you. You know, don't kill me. She's like, I love you too. And she outsmarts him and eventually knocks his head off with a golf club.
Yeah.
And the end of the movie,
Crazy.
And the end of the movie is that she knocks his head off with a golf club. But the end of the movie is that she's golfing, and she's now a world-renowned writer. I mean, what a great story, right? You're the only one found on this island. She after she killed him and threw the body in the ocean or buried the body somewhere, she probably got a phone. That mansion probably had a phone somewhere. And it was just like, oh my God, I'm stranded.
I believe they said, and when at the golf tournament, that she's obviously like this celebrity from surviving on the island for as long as she did, and everyone else died horrible deaths, but she lived, kind of a thing. So she's living this life, right? I'm pretty sure they said that they rescued her on a raft.
Oh, really? So she did the thing that she said not to do.
I think so.
Interesting.
But at the same part, I wonder if, because she knew about the mansion because she was on that side of the island and she saw a boat come in, and that's when she said, no, not yet.
Right.
But she followed the boat and she realized that the boat was just like some delivery people, caretakers, whatever, dropping off supplies to that house.
Right.
And so she, okay. So I wonder if, and she's a smart cookie, if she just was able to kind of get a raft and plan it around how often they come for the support, of the house.
Okay, good point.
And maybe just kind of go around there. I'm obviously assuming, because I have a few other questions where I feel like they did a pretty good job at answering a lot of the questions and any loose ends that they would have in the movie. But it's the bodies. So there are 3 that would be questioned and unaccounted for. And what I mean by that is that Zuri and the captain, right? Because you could find the boat on that island still. So how did that happen? Unless she casted it off into the sea, and then they could assume that maybe they got lost in a storm and that they're dead as well too. But still, there's a body on the island. So hopefully that evidence was rid of before then. But I would imagine that maybe her story is so, I don't know. The other part of it is that she kills Bradley in the house, in the mansion.
Right.
So she's got to clean up that kill scene, right? And she said there's security that she took out. So I wonder if like those dots would connect. That eventually this guy who owns the house and be like, hey, like a lot of stuff is missing. My security is down. Question. There's a trail of blood from the kitchen to the library. Like, yeah.
I can tell you exactly what happened. Bradley discovered your house, and he was trying to kill me, and he led me to this house, and I was fighting for my life. Prove me wrong.
Whatever it is, it's a throwaway,
Right,
and
right.
She's living her best life, and she is kind of laughing it off, and she says that she's writing a book called "No Help Is Coming, So You Better Start Saving Yourself."
And then she
Winks
has
at the camera.
right, yeah. She has the break the fourth wall moment, and she does Blondie one way or another. I'm going to get you, and this comes off to be a remake of Misery. Before the popcorn rating, I'm going to go a little deep, but I'm just curious what you think. I said this to my wife, and I want to know if you think I'm going too crazy on this one. Do you think that this is the female version of Don't Worry, Darling? Do you think that Rachel McAdams is an incel? And this is just...
No.
No, you do not agree with me.
No. Not at all. It's not showing like in that movie that there is some sort of I don't know, mental kind of I don't know. I practice a trend of saying somebody who's a loser that just like, this is what you're missing out on, this is what you have to do to take it. She's put into an unlikely situation. She's put into it almost like a dream scenario. Not to say that Don't Worry, Darling, I mean, which is literally a dream scenario, but she's in a plane crash, and she kind of is just like, oh boy, I'm in this island and I have to kind of come out of my shell moment. It's not like she went out of her way to purposefully make the things happen. The cards just fell that way.
So you don't think that she's an incel? I mean, like, I understand that she was put into the situation, but she's definitely
Femcel.
Nice. But she's definitely, like, in control of this whole time. Since they crash land on the island, she's in control. And she wants to hurt the man, right? She wants to hurt the guy that has been hurting her. I mean, is that not incel?
No. Well, I think if you want to think about it that way, that's fine.
I'm just asking what you think.
But no, I think it's no. I think that there is a contrast. I think there's a juxtaposition here where the start of the movie was they were on his island. They were playing by his rules in his environment, and he was the one calling the shots. And now they're in a different situation where she's the one calling the shots. She's the one in control. She's the one that says, no. I'm the one who decides. I'm the one who knocks.
Nice. Breaking Bad reference. All right, popcorn rating time. I did say to my wife, I don't know if I'm giving this a large or a small. I know it's a little crazy, but like 95% of me says this is a small. But sometimes the reason why I think this movie is a large is because that fight scene between those two was just fun. The boar stuff was fun. The poisoning was fun. The fake castration was fun. I think the twist was fun too. So I'm just trying to base it off of my emotion, right? Of what I liked and what I didn't like. I think what's going to hurt it for me is rewatchability. And I just don't think I'm going to watch this movie again. So, a little different. I'm going to go with a small bag of popcorn. I did like Rachel McAdams in this movie. She is this movie. Bradley is so-so. I did like that she did something completely different. But I don't think this movie added anything that I was really needing. So, small bag for me. Eric, what is your popcorn rating for Send Help?
Yeah, I might go with that or a medium. This has a lot of Sam Raimi tropes in it. The POV cam from the boar I saw. You can compare that to a lot of the Evil Dead stuff that he had kind of done. I don't know. I don't know if I was expecting more. Like, I think if I wanted just a little bit more humor in this as well too. I don't know. Like, it's a fine movie. I'm not going to rewatch it just like you did. I think that there are funny parts, like whether she throws up all over him or the very unnecessary gore that was when she killed the boar or in their fight scene, which is great to have. But I don't know. It's a fine movie. It's just medium, I guess. Like, I don't have too many issues with the movie besides it just kind of being not for me. That's basically kind of what it is. But here's the thing: is that we've done this long enough to where there are so many times when we can go off on tangents of what would make this movie better. What would I have rather have liked to have seen? What could I have taken out of this movie? And a lot of those footnotes that we could add to this movie. I don't think I could add a whole lot to this movie. I don't think there's anything else I would like to see in this movie or anything else that I would take away from this movie, because it's just kind of all there. And right? Like
I'm crazy, right? I mean, I would make this Blue Lagoon, and then immediately in the last,
Really?
yeah, I would make this Blue Lagoon, and the last 10 minutes to make it Psycho. Just completely middle finger to the audience. Yeah, that after the plane crashed and the ocean, it was him and her, Blue Lagoon, love story, love each other. Two people that are not supposed to be together end up falling in love together. But ever since the plane crash, it was just a cruel ploy for her to get back at him for giving somebody else her job that she felt was rightfully hers. That's where I would have done it differently. Get rid of the mansion. Get rid of all that stuff. Just make this seem like a love story. And the last 10 minutes, she's just, just going nuts.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, where maybe like they discontinue to, I would say again, maybe get rid of the romance part of it, but maybe like in her attempts to try to humanize him a bit more, he just digs deeper into just not, and the wedge gets further between them, and he storms off one day with the somewhat skills that he learned from her, and he finds the cave. He learns to live in the cave or something like that, and they're just kind of going back and forth at each other, trying to, I don't know, pick each other off, or that might be something. But
what's that?
I think you're basically at the same movie.
What's that Guy Ritchie movie that you love with Madonna?
All of them.
You love Guy Ritchie. It's a Madonna movie where she's on an island. Oh, you know it.
I think so. Hold on, let me.
You know it because that's what I'm thinking. It's Madonna, directed by Guy Ritchie, on an island. I think this is when she.
Well,
was...
you know what I hate is that the one that I'm thinking of is, was that a Harmony Kane movie where it's like Madonna, Michael Jackson, the impersonators?
Yeah, it's not that. But anyway, that's what I would have made.
Let's see.
But her being Psycho at the end. Swept Away? Is that what it's called? No.
Why? Die Another Day. Yeah, Swept Away.
Swept Away, yeah. Remember that one?
No.
You're a Guy Ritchie fan.
I mean, like, no, I know the movie. Okay. I don't remember.
Fair enough. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this recent episode of Movie Guys podcast. I was curious how this one was going to go, and I think we gave you guys a good show that gives some good perspectives. But make sure to check us out at Movie Guys Podcast at podbean.com, on Apple Music, on iHeartRadio. Is that still a thing? Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, we are on that platform. Eric, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll be back next Thursday for another awesome episode. Have a good night.
Movie guys, hit play, let it run. Eric Jordan, 2 takes, 1 fun, new flick, old flick, same mic, same vibe. If it's on that screen, they gon' go deep dive. Movie guys, say the word, we ride. From the big release to the late night guy, you cue it up, they keep the love. Movie guys, movie guys.
Like that's where I'm at. Buddy. I don't want a burrito. I don't want a chimichanga. I don't want an enchilada. I want tacos. And a burger. I want a burger. I don't want a McDonald's burger.
No, I get you.
Know,
already got all the places
eggs
popped up in my head.
On my burger. Oh, yeah. I want to bite into my egg burger and just yolk everywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
You got to make it healthy. Some avocado spread on the bun, maybe.
Oh, okay. Of course.
Fancy burger.
Of course. But
Yeah.
no, there's definitely a few that I have in mind. Two of which are one of those burgers where once you pick them up, you can't put them down.
Well, okay, so here's my question.
And I'm not
You're on
saying
your-
out of because they're already delicious. I'm saying you can't put them down because it ruins the integrity of the burger. Like it's messy. Like give me a towel after I'm done eating it. I need both hands. And once you pick it up, start the timer, buddy. We're going.
So you're on your knees. You're dying. I'm standing over you with a gun in my hand, loaded, ready to go. You have to choose any variation, burgers or tacos. What do you choose?
Probably a burger.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I've had, and I'm sure this goes with everybody that can maybe relate to this, is that I've had many burgers. I've had many tacos, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had some damn good tacos. And
Okay.
but here's the thing: is that if I go, or someone asks me, "Hey, name the restaurants of the best tacos that you've had?" I probably have like a top two where I can think of
But
like
tacos
where-
are good on taco trucks.
Here's the thing: is that like okay, I enjoy tacos. I'm not gonna discriminate. I'll go to Taco Bell and I'll have some dirt tacos, right? I'll even go to Del Taco, and I don't, what Mexican restaurant serves French fries? That's not Mexican, but I don't care. I'll go to these dirt taco places and I'll have a dirt taco and I'll enjoy it. But if I'm going for like authenticity, there's only a few places, two maybe three places that I can think of where I'm just like, that's the one where I want tacos from. That's the one where I know I can't hear anything in the kitchen. I just hear the drum line of the reggaeton in the back. Nobody there speaks English, and that's how I know. Just like that's the one right there, and
Right.
they're singing and dancing in the kitchen, and that's the one. And I know those places.
Grandma Coco.
There's a few around that I like it, yeah, and that's how I get introduced to like the Jarritos, the drinks, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna have the 3 tacos, and then I'll have a pineapple Jarrito, and then I'll be happy. But when it comes to burgers, I'm thinking off the top, out even thinking 5 different places in my head.